All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's top of the hour here. Looks like we've got a few more people that will continue to trickle in. My name is Marshall Thompson. I'm Deputy Division Chief for BLM Fire External Affairs here at the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho. I want to welcome everybody this morning and afternoon. For the next 30 minutes to hour, we're gonna do a presentation here from some of the folks here at NIFC on the National Fire Preparedness Review for 2025. So we're going to go ahead and jump out first and do introductions, and we'll start in virtual land with LJ.
Good morning, good afternoon. LJ Brown here. I work for the Division of Fire Operations in FA 300. I'm a fire program specialist and I lead National Preparedness Reviews. This year leading the Wyoming review and assisting in the Alaska review. And to Dave.
Hi, this is Dave Burley. I am the incident business lead here at the Fire Center, work in the Office of Budget and Evaluation. I usually try and go out at least once a year to one of the reviews. Doesn't always work out schedule-wise, but this year I will be doing one of them. Haven't decided which one, but I will be out there again this year. Thank you.
All right, thanks LJ and Dave. We'll jump back here and do a quick round robin of the individuals we have here on campus.
So I'm Grant Peavy. I'm the Assistant Director for Fire and Aviation here at the Fire Center in Boise.
Good morning, I'm John Fitchner. My normal position is National Fire Equipment Program Manager here at NIFC, currently detailed to the BLM Utah Fire State Fire Trespass Coordinator. I've been doing these reviews since 2002, almost every year. Skipped a couple years. I've done every state with exception of New Mexico, Colorado, and Alaska. Several of those states I've done multiple times. And I've been a team member for the engine team, admin lead for several years, co-lead for several years, and lead for one review last year.
Hi everyone, Marlene Eno-Hendra, and I'm a fire management specialist out of FA 300, leading the California review this year. So that's all of the introductions. And so what we're going to cover today is why we do preparedness reviews, how the field is notified of the national preparedness reviews and how to sign up, other information to be aware of before you sign up, because there are some things you might want to know, expectations of team members. We're going to quickly give you just an overview of kind of a daily routine that you would be doing. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions. And then if you have participated in preparedness reviews in the past, we'd like to have you jump on and give us some of your perspectives. So that's what we're going to cover. And so I'm first up with why we do preparedness reviews. And so all of this information that I'll cover is actually in the Red Book in Chapter 2. So the review and update of the 1995 Federal Wildland Fire Management Policy from January of 2001 states that agencies will ensure their capability to provide safe, cost-effective fire management programs in support of land and resource management plans through appropriate planning, staffing, training, equipment, and management oversight. The Assistant Director of FA accomplishes this in part through the Fire Preparedness Review process. Fire Preparedness Reviews assess fire programs for compliance with established fire policies and procedures as outlined in the current Red Book and other pertinent policy documents. Reviews identify organizational, operational, procedural, personnel, and equipment deficiencies and recommend specific corrective actions. So there are some positions within Chapter 2 of the Red Book that actually have outlined responsibilities in regards to preparedness reviews, and I just kind of want to go over those briefly. So the Fire Operations Division Chief of FA 300 has a responsibility to perform annual fire program preparedness reviews. State directors and district managers have assigned program responsibility to ensure fire and fire aviation preparedness reviews are conducted annually in all unit offices and to participate in at least one annually. And state fire management officers and district or zone FMOs have assigned program responsibility to oversee preseason preparedness reviews of fire and fire aviation programs. So that is actually directly in the Red Book of those responsibilities. So we do preparedness reviews at some level every year, with the national office conducting fire preparedness reviews of each BLM state fire program every 4 years. So today, we are only going to be focusing on the national office level preparedness reviews. But if you have questions on what your preparedness review looks like and you are not part of the 3 states that are being reviewed nationally this year, talk to your district or zone FMO and they can give you more information. And with that, that is all I have for why we do preparedness reviews, and I'll hand it over to LJ.
Thanks, Marlene. And Marshall, I'll have you bring up the documents. So this year, like Marlene said, we're doing 3 states. We'll be conducting national reviews in Alaska, Wyoming, and California. Interesting note, the last time that these 3 states were reviewed in person as part of a national review was in 2016. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we did virtual or hybrid reviews with them during the last national review. So we're all excited to get back to these states. So yesterday, and you can go to the next page, Marshall. So yesterday, this IIB came out, FAIB 2025-002, and this IB identifies the process for nominating yourself to be part of the National Fire Preparedness and National Radio Program reviews. This identifies where you can get more information, like Marlene referenced, and where you can go to the nomination form. So this year, the Alaska review will be the middle of May, 10-day review for the middle of May for preparedness. And the radio program review will actually take place earlier on at the end of March and 1st of April. For Wyoming, we'll be doing a combined radio and fire preparedness review, and we'll be in Wyoming the first couple weeks of June. And for California, the radio program review will happen in the middle of May, and the National Fire Preparedness review will happen in the middle of June. And so those are the dates that are available for the nominations. And I'll have you go to the next page, Marshall, and we'll talk about the nomination form. So this website for the nomination forms has been dropped in the chats for this meeting. You can go visit it. It collects basic information about you, about your supervisor, and then it allows you to select the areas of expertise that you would be interested in helping out on these reviews. And so as a reminder, what we're looking for is folks that are subject matter experts and can participate as peer reviewers to their counterparts in other states and other districts. Listed here is all of the categories that you can select from, and you can select as many as you have expertise in. Also identified here is the process for identifying your preference of states. A little bit of information on the states. First off, Alaska. As a reminder, we will not be doing any engine reviews in Alaska, and so we do not need engine reviewers to apply for Alaska. But if you have other areas of expertise, we'll gladly take those. The same could be said for Eastern states when we do Eastern states on those years. So a couple of ways this can work. We'd prefer that you select multiple state options if you have that availability. If you don't have that availability in your schedule, we ask that you target the states that you are available for. And so that would be either selecting, say, California for all 3, or if you can do both, say California and Wyoming, but not available for Alaska, then only select the ones that you are available for. The same process exists lower in the form for the radio program in selecting the dates for the radio program reviews. So this is open until at least the middle of March for nominations. Some years, based off a lack of interest, we've had to extend this, but at least we have at least a month for folks to go in and nominate themselves. At that point, we will start working the list, and it's myself, Marlene, and Logan Blankenship, who are the 3 team leads for the national reviews. We will go in and start identifying individuals to fill out each of our respective teams. Once you've been identified, we'll call and confirm that you still have that availability. You understand what you elected to do and are still willing and able to participate in those teams. One thing we haven't done a good job of, and we intend to improve on this year, is we'll also identify folks that do not get selected. In some cases, there is an abundance of participants that select certain categories, and then other specialty areas that we often struggle trying to get enough applicants for. And so we will reach out to you one way or the other. It may not be exactly on that date that the application period closes, may not even be within that week, but as we can make it through the list and get our teams filled out, we will make contact with you and let you know. Once you are selected, it may be a little bit before you hear from us again. We'll let you know that you're on a team, and we'll let you know what to expect. But some things that are happening in the background is the 3 team leads take care of the logistics for you. So we will go out and we will identify lodging rooms for each of the communities that will, the agenda will provide the teams to go to during the review. And we'll identify travel plans, we'll identify how we'd like or prefer you to get to the state that you're coming to. If you need a vehicle, we'll try to identify ways to eliminate or to limit the number of total vehicles so that we're not a big impact on the districts that we arrive at. And so we'll adjust accordingly, and we'll inform you of all of that as the review gets closer. So those were the main things I wanted to cover at this point, and I will hand it off to Dave Burley.
Hello, everybody. I just want to cover some things that are mostly business related, the aspects of performing in the review. All your base 8 will be covered by your home unit. Travel, per diem, and overtime will be covered by the national office, and you'll get a charge code if you are selected. The caveats there are, you need to use your government credit card for your travel and concur for any of those travel plans that you need to make that your team lead is not making for you. Got a plan to work approximately 12 hours a day, weekends, holidays, and any other times that if something comes up and you need to work a little bit extra or something different, following what your team lead needs you to do. That brings us to the Fair Labor Standards Act and the exempt employees. Some of the concern, want to make sure everybody's aware of those folks who are exempt employees. Your overtime is capped at your base pay, and it's also capped. You have a biweekly cap that is not overridden, and so therefore there's some options out there as far as maybe choosing comp time instead of all overtime for all your time. Otherwise, what'll happen is you'll think you're going to make all this extra money. You'll put it in your time, your quick time. You'll get your check, and you'll be capped at minimal hours depending on your salary. So you will not get paid. We want to try and avoid as much of that surprise as possible for you folks. Those non-exempt folks that are coming out with us, they will get full overtime. There is no cap and no issues there. The last thing is just kind of like LJ was saying, make sure you follow what your team lead's telling you to do as far as paying for rooms, whether you need a rental car, how you're getting there, and all those kinds of things. And I think that's all for me. I will pass it back to John.
Thanks, Dave. I'll be talking about the team expectations. Stuff here I got. We'd like for the folks to be available for the entire review. Occasionally, there's folks that want to split the duties with somebody else. It just works better if there's continuity throughout the whole review. And that's the preferred method. And we request that you guys work with us on that. Be available to attend virtual meetings prior to the review, because you can stay updated on the ongoings of what's happening in the preparation process for the review. If there's requests for information from the team leaders, try to be timely in responding to those. An example of that might be, we need you to get your checked into the motel so that, whoever's arranging the motel room isn't holding all the rooms on their credit card, and make sure you get your credit card switched so that we don't have to deal with those headaches. Be prepared to travel and operate independently, but also be open to sharing vehicles, like LJ mentioned. We don't want to have every team member driving a truck across the state for 2 weeks when we can potentially share trucks or cars and limit the amount of exposure and also just save on cost. I wanted to mention that it's a good, these preparedness reviews are a good opportunity for networking for both among the other team members that you might be working with and meeting that you haven't ever met before, as well as the folks in the state that's being reviewed. You might, trust me, I've seen many times where people were able to network and get to know folks better and maybe lead to a future job, right? Bring your laptop to the review and follow what the admin person requests for inputting the information that you're gathering. It can be a painful process for the admin person if they're getting just handwritten checklists and such, and they have to fill out everybody's checklist, interpret what you're trying to say. And there's also lots of direction on how to properly fill out a checklist and how to properly do accommodations and recommendations. So try to follow those directions closely. Learn from learn the other ways of doing business. The state might be doing stuff different than you do in your state, but if it meets policy and works, be open to those ideas and don't say that, that's not how you should do it. We have to do it this way. If it's meeting policy, they might be doing it a better way and you might learn from it. Provide deliverables to the team leaders on time. That's going back to properly filled out checklists and accommodations and recommendations. Get those on time. Usually there's a big time crunch on the last day, getting ready for the closeout, and the team leads and the admin folks are super busy trying to get that finalized to present at the closeout. Be flexible. The schedule and an itinerary is always subject to change. It's a lot of time, we decide the night before that something else is gonna work better if somebody goes to a different outstation or whatnot. And so don't get upset if it's not exactly like it says on the itinerary. And I guess another thing I have to note there, sometimes team members may be released early, like if your role on the team, if there's nothing to do on the last day, say they don't have a heliTAC program or something, at the last district you're visiting, you may be released the day before if there's not a need for you at the closeout. If you're selected for the engine and firefighter review team, have a current red card and be prepared to be fire ready, basically. Have all your PPE, line gear, radio. Oftentimes, when you're on a review, you might actually go, we want to be as non-disruptive to the fire program as possible. So if they get a fire while they're being reviewed, they're expected to go to that fire. And you typically, we have an arrangement so folks on the team can go to the fire and review them while they're on the fire. And lastly, last thing I have is professional conduct is required at all times during and after hours. Just remember you're representing your district, the national fire or the national office, the BLM, and federal firefighting so when you're out in public, don't be doing stuff that you shouldn't do to make us look bad. And goes back to LJ at this point, I believe.
Okay, thanks, John. So we wanted to take a few minutes here to talk about what a day in the life looks like. We accept all folks, people who have never done reviews, people who are like John and have done 20 plus national reviews. Just as an example, when I arrived at FA, I had never participated on a national review team in any way, shape, or form. I had done state reviews and local reviews. And so my very first national review, was as a team lead. So we'll take anyone. So if you haven't done them before, or if you've done them with a different lead, things can look a little bit different. You may be a little apprehensive when you first show up. And so we just want to do our best to make life easy for you and show you that it's not going to be that hard. We want it to always be enjoyable. And so we'll show you a few examples of some of the products we do, but just wanted to let you know, we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes ahead of time to make things easy. For example, you'll be provided access to a Teams site that will have all of your references that you would need to know for each of the checklists that will be available to you digitally. So you can get on your laptop or your mobile device and access the policies, the references, the IMs and IBs, and whatever reference there may be to a checklist item is available to you. We'll have a lot of the documents set up to be as easily pre-filled as possible. And like John said, we'll do our best to standardize the process so that it'll be easy to work through. And oftentimes the first 3 days are the roughest 3 days. It's a learning curve. It's a steep learning curve. It starts from an arrival in a state. And so just as a reference, the dates that we have of it listed for the reviews, the 3 reviews, you may be required to travel a day or 2 ahead of those dates just to get yourself in place. We've identified the date that the review actually starts. And so depending on where you're coming from, it may take a little bit for you to get there. And so please have a heads up on that and plan accordingly. Once you arrive, we'll usually have a team meeting the night before the review starts, and we'll make sure everybody knows where that digital information is. We'll provide some expectations, and we'll kind of talk through, you know, what each day is going to look like. We'll provide you with points of contact in each of the districts that you're going to visit, and their phone numbers and email addresses, and however it's easiest to get a hold of them. If we're doing a lot of communication with the states ahead of time, and so if there's certain things that we have a heads up on, that, you know, maybe this weekend that we're going to be in a certain district is going to be impacted by some sort of baseball tournament, or there's, you know, some event going on that's going to impact a bunch of employees. We've seen family weddings within fire programs that impact us, and so we'll adjust accordingly, like John was saying there. But we'll give you a heads up as soon as we know that stuff. We'll try and plant that information and make it available to you. Like John said, the documents are really important. We want to make sure that they're consistent, that they're standardized. And so I just wanted to show a couple of examples of how we try to make that easier on you, and make the end product or the end results look like what we're looking for. So if you wouldn't mind, Marshall, I'll have you display the next page. So these are the checklists. These are the same checklists that you can go to the SharePoint site or the NIFC website and pull down. Right now, what you're going to find if you go to the page is the 2024 checklist. Marlene and us at FA are working on updating the checklist for 2025 to make sure all the policy references are correct, and all the information and what we're evaluating is consistent and ready for 25. So 25 isn't out yet. It'll be out in April generally. But if you look at that, that document has kind of some pre-established form fields so that you can easily click on or tab from section to section to fill that information out. The checklists provide the documentation that you're looking for. And so similar, like I said, you'll have policy references. If at all possible, we'll also try and get any documents from the states and the districts ahead of time and have those available to you to read through. Having been on both ends of the review, it's always a little bit uncomfortable to sit and across from someone at their desk and pretend like you're reading their fire management plan, when there's a better time for that. We can make time outside of that interview period to go through those reference materials. And so we try to get that stuff available to you ahead of time so that you can walk into your interviews, walk into your meetings prepared and ready to listen and really just have a conversation with your peer from that other district. What we're looking for in the reviews is identifying whether they meet the standard. As you're coding the checklist, you're identifying that they meet the standard. If they don't meet the standard or they need to improve on some part of it, then we're looking for you to code the checklist as needing improvement and providing some remarks and how they can resolve that or what they're deficient in with that part of the review checklist. We're also looking for opportunities to identify where a district or a part of a fire program is exceeding the standard and marking that as exceeding and providing information in the remarks there of how they're exceeding the standard. And that's all we're looking for is a sentence or two to identify that information in the remarks on the checklist. Otherwise, just filling them out with the meets in all of the other categories. Next page, please, Marshall. And so what those turn into, what the checklists turn into, is the final product that we're providing as the team to the districts when we close out. And that's our commendations and recommendations document. And so the commendations are identifying where a fire program or a part of a fire program is exceeding the standard. And the intent in identifying commendations is to identify areas that we want to share what that program's doing. And so sometimes the things that a program's doing go unsung, and even their state offices may not be aware of what's being done. What the National Fire Reviews provide is an opportunity for the states to learn about what the individual districts are doing, the other districts within those states, and then through having a team made up of individuals from other states and other programs, they're able to take those excel opportunities back to their own states and their own programs and share that and improve their own programs as well. We're also identifying recommendations. So anytime we're identifying something that needs improvements, we're creating a finding and providing that district with a recommendation on how we believe they can resolve that finding. Now, like I said, to make these easier, we have templates for all of this. If you look at the examples here on the page, they have some general descriptions of findings and of commendations, and we've marked out the district name. And that's not just to not identify the guilty, but it's also to say that it's very uncommon that we see anything new. A lot of the commendations we want to get very specific on, but a lot of the findings are fairly consistent. And so having templates that we provide to you allows you to simply look through your references for your program area and identify, oh, this has happened before, and this is what a write-up of that looks like. I can copy that, or identify the district name, identify the responsible parties for resolving it, and send that to the admin leads and the review leads for your state. So we provide all that information as a tool for you to make it easier and to make sure our documents remain consistent as we go through. So like I said, we do as much as we can to provide that, and we give this to you ahead of time. So what we'll do is we'll show up and we'll start each state with some sort of a state in briefing to the state director. In some cases, that may be at the state office, just with the state office staff. In other cases, that may be a statewide in briefing where we're able to communicate with all of the districts as well as the state director and state fire management team. And once we've kicked off that in briefing, then we will move on to the first district on our agenda, and we'll start with an in briefing to that district of what the timeline is going to look like, how our review seeks to minimize our impact while we're there, and what the results will be that we'll provide at the end, being the checklists and these commendations and recommendations. And then we'll start our reviews, and we divide and conquer. We send the review team members off to work with their counterparts and their peers. And that's when the learning begins. That's sharing stories, that's sharing business practices, best practices. That's getting out in the field to see fire stations and see equipment and see firefighters in action. It's a great opportunity for district managers who go out as part of the agency administrators to actually go out and spend some time talking to firefighters on the ground at other districts and other states, to see the engine drills and helicopter drills and heavy equipment drills, and talk to the participants in those reviews. So we do the reviews, and that takes anywhere from a day to a couple days, depending on the size of the district and the program. And all that while, as a team member, you're producing documents. You're completing the checklists and submitting those to us. You're providing us draft commendations and recommendations, and the team leads and the admin lead work on compiling those into the final documents. with the expectation that we'll do a closeout with every single district prior to us moving on, where we will provide the district manager and district fire management officer with the checklists and with these commendations and recommendations in a draft form until we've completed the entire state and can finalize all the documents for consistency statewide. And at that point, we provide final documents to the state directors through grant, with the expectation that statewide commendations and recommendations come back to us in an action plan to resolve any recommendations that we identify statewide as part of our reviews. A lot of that stuff's the team leads are working on. Once you've completed your work, if you've done all your interviews and you've done all your checklists and you've cleaned up all your documents and submitted them to us, we then provide the opportunity to go and learn about other parts of the fire program, go and help out. We spend a lot of time looking at vehicles, with the expectation that we're touching just about every piece of 600 class fire vehicles while we're in a state. And so you may be asked to go out and help doing some facilities reviews or some vehicle reviews. And that's a great opportunity to learn about other parts of the fire program. The other thing is we try our best to minimize the length of the day that you might have to both be working on reviews and then traveling. And so that may provide the opportunity to spend a little extra time in some towns that you may have never been in from time to time. And once you're done, once you've been released from your duties as part of the review, then you may get an opportunity to go out and see some sites, go out and see some local landmarks, and spend some time in districts and locations that you may have never been before. And so that's a pretty cool opportunity as well. And that's how it rolls, day after day. It gets to be a little bit like Groundhog's Day by the end, but it's a pretty fun and pretty cool opportunity. And so what we wanted to do to kind of wrap things up in the discussion before we go over to any questions that folks might have is we wanted to open it up to the field and see if there's any stories or any perspectives that folks that have participated on the national reviews would like to share.
I can go, LJ, if you want.
Yeah, please, Dave.
I guess, one thing I would echo, LJ, what you're talking about, it can be a little bit intimidating, but the thing that I found is that the support from the team, what you put together there at NIFC to really help people out to understand it, especially on the first time, has been incredible. A couple of people have talked in the chat in regards to kind of the networking, et cetera, and the ability to gain some more knowledge in regards to the fire program, especially for the line officers. And I know, Mary's on here. There's others that are on here that are line officers. Phil Diamo, I think you're on here as well. Wayne Munger. The chance to kind of get to know the programs, especially as agency administrators, to see that side of it, I think is a really great experience. The other thing with that, every program is a little bit different, and to see kind of what level of integration you've got going between the resources side of BLM and the fire side of BLM, and kind of how they can be supporting each other. And then a couple other things I would say is I have found it incredibly valuable, just in regards to the exchange of ideas, to see how other programs are being run, to be able to take some of that back here to visit with our staff on, as well as some of the things that we're doing well, or some lessons learned that we might have had, to be able to share that with other programs. And the last thing I would say is that I'm blessed to be able to work on an incident management team, and so being able to bring that perspective and experience and learn in these fire preparedness reviews has been extremely helpful. So thanks for letting me share some of those.
Thanks, Jeff. And yeah, thank you for your participation in the past and hopefully in the future. Any other folks that would like to share?
Hey LJ, it's Logan. I was able to make it on for a bit. Just wanted to say thanks for taking the bulk of this, you and Marlene and everyone in the room there. Introduce myself, I'm Logan Blankenship. I'm a fire management specialist with FA 300, and I'll be the review team lead for Alaska with LJ's help as a co-lead. And yeah, just want to echo everything that's been said already about the benefit of the review process. In a previous life, I didn't have as much time and availability to do the reviews. I tried to get in when I could. And really the last couple of years have been able to be more active and just see all those benefits, the networking, the learning from other programs across the BLM, different ways of doing things, and even just the corrections and the commendations and recommendations. Like those corrections are, it doesn't have to be something big, you know. Yeah, it's something that we might have seen in the year past, but really it might just be a policy change that just came out that year and somebody didn't get the memo on. And so you know, for the most part, very non-punitive, and really it's when you're working with somebody and you're identifying that recommendation with them, generally it's taken very well, very positively, and it's just a good point to have a good conversation with folks and really learn what they're doing and what you can help facilitate in terms of their knowledge of policy and alignment with the BLM's goal as a whole. So thanks again.
Thanks, Logan. Thanks for joining us.
LJ, I believe we had a hand raised. I'm not sure if Rios is still out there.
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on. So I have helped on 2 national reviews for the fire business or incident business checklist. And, you know, again, I just want to echo these national reviews are so amazing for networking, meeting everybody, and sharing ideas and different processes. That has been the biggest thing with incident business, is going to a different state, different districts, and being able to learn their processes. And sometimes, you know, they might have an easier way of doing things. So I'm able to bring that back to my state. And then vice versa, you know, I'm able to share some things that we do that could make their process a little bit easier. So I think it's been super beneficial, and I encourage everyone to participate as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah.
LJ, I'll make a quick pitch from my time doing a national review. And this goes back to filling out your nomination form. Make sure that even though you may be thinking that you're going to be picked up in one specialty area, if you've got multiple areas, put that on there, as I went out to assist in the dispatch review. But my experience on hand crews in the past, I was also able to assist with the one veteran hand crew that needed to be reviewed on that particular review. So if you do have multiple areas of expertise, make sure you are putting that on there.
Thanks, Marshall.
I'm not seeing any other hands. Oh, Dennis, I see you out there. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, just a quick plug. I did many years with 581, and one thing that I always got from agency administrators is, what do I do? How do I actively help manage this program that can be very daunting at times? And this is one of those opportunities with the preparedness reviews. This is something that you can do rather than just reacting of going when you have a fire on your unit or going to help someone else with a fire. This is a time that it's not an emergency situation. You're going to be learning as much as you're helping. And this is one of those things that as an agency administrator, you can do. So strongly encourage folks to do that. And then as far as other folks with the expertise, the SMEs and whatnot, I know when I've done reviews in the past, like others have said, it's a great opportunity to learn, just to see what else is going on out there. It helps spread your information that you might have, and then information that you can gain from others. So great opportunity. I encourage everyone to try to make some time to go do that.
Thanks
Thanks,
for the
Dennis.
support, Dennis.
Kyle, I believe you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I did. Hi, everybody. My name is Kyle Cowan. I'm the state FMO for BLM Alaska. I just also wanted to give a plug. I'm sure my background is very dark. I look like, I don't know what I look like. But anyway, the first time I went on a national preparedness review, I was an engine captain. I not only learned how to be a better engine captain by learning everybody else's secrets, but I met a lot of people who then turned into another career opportunity. So from an engine captain, I met a bunch of people and I learned about places that I wanted to go work. And so it gave me ideas on where I could go work in the future. So I think they're a great opportunity. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Kyle.
Rhonda, go ahead. Rhonda, you've got your hand raised. You're good. You can go ahead and unmute.
Okay, apologize. Thought someone might do that for me. Let me get my camera on. Maybe. All right, there we go. No, I just wanted to reiterate what was said earlier about they'll take anyone. I was on the Nevada review last year, and was brand new to my position in incident business. I am still what I consider brand new to the fire program. I went in as on the administrative role, and I just would really encourage anyone who was hesitant because of lack of experience to go. Because to be honest, it was part of my IDP and I was really hesitant to go. Because I felt like really unprepared and unsure, but there's so many people that know what they're doing and the support was wonderful. And it was really one of the best experiences I've had. So thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. And you did great.
Thanks, LJ.
Any other folks that want to contribute to their experience? Perfect. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to question and answer. I believe all the questions that have been put into the chat have been answered. The information for the preparedness reviews and how to sign up are in the IB linked at the top of the chat. So you should be able to open up that IB and be able to find the information in there. A lot of good comments in the chat from folks and their experiences and the benefits that they saw from it. So anybody have a question, please raise your hand. Not seeing any. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and move to closeout. Oh, Jeff, sorry, I missed you there.
No, I didn't have anything. Sorry, I just clicked my camera on. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. So I want to start by thanking everybody. We're going to go for some closing comments from Grant Beebe. And real quick, just remind folks, look at the IBs and the links at the top of this. If you do have any additional ideas for future Fire Chat Fridays, You can get a hold of Samantha Storms or myself, Marshall Thompson. Email us your ideas. We are always looking for the topics that you all would like to hear from us up here. So with that being said, I'll let Grant close us out.
Thanks, Marshall. Thanks, everybody, for joining on a Friday. I know wasn't top on everybody's list of fun things to do, but we're excited that you're here today. It was a big crowd. Megan noted it in the chat. We are always short on line officers / AAs in our reviews. So if you are one and you're on and you've done it or you're thinking about it, thank you for that. If you have an AA / LO line officer in mind who'd be really good at it and they're not on here, if you would help us go down the hall, talk to them at some point and say, hey, would you think about doing this? Because those are in short supply. We tend to make some concessions with line folks, honestly, because they obviously have full plates and it's hard for them to commit. And then if they're not available for preparedness reviews or other reviews, they typically go on our short list of people who we can call when we need a line officer to do something like help lead an SAI or some other type review. So not that us fire folks aren't super valuable, but there's one piece of this organization that's really tough to get sometimes. So talk it up with them, see if they'll do it. And as Megan pointed out, as a line officer AA, you learn a lot. And as Dennis pointed out, when smoke's not in the air, it's a great time to do it. Marlene kicked off with this. Why do we do this? Because this is a high stake program and we don't want to engage in fire season without reaffirming to ourselves that we've done our utmost to be ready, that we're following the standards that we've worked hard to develop, and we're holding ourselves accountable. So we do them all, every state, every program, every year. These national ones are just one ramp up. But it's policy that's born of necessity, right? We don't do it lightly. It's a big expense. It's a big pain in the butt for these guys to organize this stuff. But it's the most important thing we do for ourselves and for the American people, which is make sure that we can effectively and safely deliver fire suppression, fire response organizations, equipment, people when we need to especially during the summertime. So absolutely critical work that we do, absolutely critical that we're as prepared as possible, and that's what these reviews are for. So I'm grateful that we as an organization take ourselves seriously enough that we'll do this, hold ourselves accountable. We have lots of recommendations in our reports. We occasionally, sometimes they're a little uncomfortable, but leadership and all of our employees, our firefighters count on us to do this, right? We don't want to just let things slide by, pencil whip a review and give ourselves passing remarks. So there you go. And then finally, Mike Ned, my boss, the Deputy Director for Administration and Programs, asks of every state director before fire season that they certify that their organization is ready to go, so that the final link in that policy piece is us sending a note to Mike saying every state's good to go. So that's part of that process, and he'll ask if what's up with state X, how come they're not ready to go. So it is paid attention to all the way up to the front office, rightly so. So that's all I got. Thanks for being here.
Perfect. Thanks again, Grant. Thanks to all of our presenters, John, Marlene, LJ, and Dave. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. This will be posted online early next week on our BLM Fire SharePoint site. You all have a good rest of the day and a good weekend.